win the second. An interesting thing to potentially think about is the pick and ban's been pretty standard the entire way through.
Yep.
Shiva getting banned because of Fizzerp breach. Quite a few long lines of sight. Wouldn't want to use it for every single hill, but it definitely has its use now. Does Rise still go to ban that straight away? We might get the chance to find out. Or does H2k try and protect that? That is not the case. They're taking out Afterburn. And, of course, Classic is going to auto-ban that Shiva. So pretty much going to be a standard setup, it does appear. But either way, the question, of course, is definitely for H2k. Can they clutch up in this hard point? And if they force the game 7, you got to imagine they're looking good, right? They're 2 for 2 in S&D so far.
Without a doubt, and obviously this is the game type for Rise to kind of close it out. As I was expecting, I was getting ready to say, I hope that they do try and Vin to get rid of those tacticals, the flashbang being shut down from Looney, as they obviously want to force as many on and gun-to-gun fights as they possibly can. Concussion also going to be eliminated, and that kinetic armor yet again not showing itself in this game. And I want to actually go ahead and rotate. Who was actually that player? I don't know who actually banned stock, but just know that is going to be out of the game, and that's always good for those ARs, and especially for some of those SMGs, you know, being the VMP, it can, you know, definitely be a viable attachment. When it comes to especially hardpoint, we're going to have constant engagements.
Yeah, and honestly, the question is for Respawn specifically for H2k. It's not that they've been getting beat collectively as a team, which is a weird thing to say, but it seems like they always have one player that is not performing up to par. Yep. We saw in the CTF, I believe it was Lacefield, who was like triple negative, something in that regard, and then in the first hardpoint, Fizzerp was not putting up the numbers that he would need to help his team out. So if that's the case, if all 4 players on H2k are firing on all cylinders, and of course if Fears can continue the momentum, I mean, he got 14 kills right there in the S&D. That's more kills than his teammates are getting in Respawn. So if he can have that momentum, that could obviously be a huge factor, though. I have seen Lacefield on this map before, the roaming Slayer. This is something he does very well. I know it didn't pan out well on the uplink because he wasn't quite in the best positions. He was just getting outran by the drone carrier. But here, he puts up numbers. He does a very good job. It's just, can the rest of the team behind him, help him out?
That's the question of the series, quite literally. And we're going to look at the specialist overall for the side of H2k. It looks like Fear's going to go with that scythe, always kind of prevalent for him, as he normally kind of goes for the Annihilator, but he's going to go with the scythe for this game. Looks like Legal going for the Purifier. It kind of depends for Legal. He does like that active camo occasionally, but he is going to obviously fend for a weapon specialist. Looking at Fizzerp, he's going to rock that active camo Lacefield with that ever-evident heat wave, as he's been kind of inconsistent, like you mentioned, throughout the series. We'll see if he can kind of perform in this game when their backs are kind of literally against the wall. Looking at Rise Nation for their overall specialists, we got Annihilator for Classic, Scythe for Octane, Heatwave for Looney, and Slack going with an active camo. As far as Slack and Classic really go for this game, they're going to be the guys to hold the hard point. The rotation is going to be very big for them, and I think it's just going to rely on those SMG players. Besides the ARs, you're obviously going to kind of be knocking down those players. I think the hill time going to be big. H2k, like you mentioned, have to be firing on all cylinders. They're facing off against a fantastic Respawn team when it comes to Rise. That first hard point, which is map number 1, went 250 to 146. So that's something to kind of mention back to. As this kind of, in some senses, I would kind of favor Rise Nation to take this game, obviously. But if H2k can somehow manage to knock this one down, we could see H2k going to the grand finals.
Yeah, of course, that is the scenario, and they will be playing Luminosity, whoever it is that gets there. And I don't know if I need to remind people. I'm sure there's people that have begun to tune in just for this series or pretty much recently. The previous series, we actually saw Rise. They were going against some team who I can't even remember because my memory is terrible. But DT, excuse me. They went all the way to map 6. It was Rise that was on map point. Close series the entire time, and then on the hard point, they win like 250 to something like 50. They won by about 200 points. Yeah. It was a complete blowout. Wasn't even remotely close. So if that storyline is going to remain similar, then Rise is just going to completely run through the other team, and it's just going to be hilarious if that happens again, frankly. It would be completely ridiculous, but crazier things have happened. But again, these teams are competing at a shot in the grand finals to get that $30,000.
It's a lot of money, Chance. It's a lot. That's a lot of dough. We'll see, obviously, who can make their spot here. As it will be game number 6 breaches the map, and obviously Hardpoint will be the game type. Will be in the series here, or will we see that fantastic and ever-evident game number 7? As it will be, like I said, H2k going up against Rise Nation. I want to start off with Slack. I think Slack's going to be a fantastic player to be watching out for. In some ways, kind of the leader when it comes to Rise Nation, a veteran when it comes to the Call of Duty scene. Been competing really good. I think in the beginning of Black Ops 2 was a very well-known player. And we'll see how he kind of does off the break here, as he's going to be going on that wall run to possibly get a little bit of a pinch off the break.
Well, we saw him do this previously on Breach Uplink where he was going for that wall run. And by the way, he had a massive performance earlier on. I feel like, young Josiah, we haven't given enough love so far this series, but he has been playing out of his mind. Of course, though, for this map at the moment, H2k in complete control of the hill. Fizzerp, you can even see, switching over to the Vesper. This is something we saw Burnsoff do earlier on this exact same map. And the Vesper works wonders at close range still. I know it took the nerf, but the hip fire is so insanely faster. The gun is actually just insanely fast fire rate either way, but amazing at those close ranges, and we just saw a little example of that there.
Absolutely, got to keep those rotations in mind. And Octane kind of not necessarily out of position here, but he normally is that player to try to get that back AC spawn. He's going to have his teammate doing that instead. It's going to be Slacked and Classic for once, who are not actually going to be in the hill, but Octane instead going to have that Vesper in his midst. And it looks like Fear's trying to go back for that top or that bottom AC, that collab control for that respawn. And it will be Fizzerp trying to enter in, has that Pharaoh in his midst, and he's going to be able to drop one. That's going to be H2k with a little bit of control, but Rise Nation getting ready to enter in.
Oh, God. Well, Fizzerp is at 2 different hills, and he's at 2 different guns. Still, though, sticking with the laser sight, he's going to appreciate his ability to hip fire or the gun's ability to have a tight hip fire spread. Either way, though, him and Lacefield are going to be stacked inside this hill. Rise does have the better spawn for the moment. You can see what they're doing. They're trying to go over by sight to cut off the remaining players for H2k. As Looney is going to push in the back and just completely light both of those players up. He is going to get hit by a nade just before he's able to get that trophy down. Nonetheless, though, it is going to be Octane sitting inside, and he already has 37 seconds of hill time to his name. He's going to be continuing to rack more up as he's trying to pick up kills and assists as this is going, and Rise is going to be able to take the lead.
They are indeed. Octane doing a fantastic job, currently sitting at 5-1. Is on a 5 streak as well, and also does have those streaks. And I think he's had that Vesper in his pocket for a very long time, as he's going to grab these last couple seconds of scrap time. Palace will be the next hill. We'll see who is on that rotation. Looks like Select trying to find some early kills in the hill. He will end up dropping. Lacefield finding a nice 2-piece, and Rise Nation going to be a little bit on that late rotation, but either way, it will be H2k currently holding some hill control, and a pinch possibly coming in from the side of Rise Nation as they take out a couple. Lacefield, HDXD card doing a little bit of work, and Select says, I'll pull out HDXD card, man. I know I'm doing that. And he's able to drop possibly one, but no, the flak jacket coming into use as Rise Nation still with a little bit of a lead and that hill control.
Yeah, and again, Slack kind of under the radar. Like, I didn't even notice him. He was able to pull that off, but he was the first in the lobby to get to 10 kills. Started off very nicely. Of course, he is going to fall there as H2k does a perfect job of breaking this Palace hill, but either way, got to give a shout out to Josiah once again. Lacefield, though, going to be looking over towards this AC side of things. There's actually going to be one player wall running around. I think Lacefield hurt him. He's going back for the attack, but Octane is going to be able to clean him up as soon as he makes a move. And look at Octane. 9 total engagements when Classic has 9 kills, but that's because he has had a minute of hill time as he is continuing to get more and more, and of course having the streaks is never going to be a bad idea, and of course knowing exactly where he can call other team now, and you can see now they're pushing in the back for the spawns over for Greenhouse.
That was a fantastic play from Octane. You're kind of realizing, hey, we have to get that player, that anchor out for this Greenhouse hill. That's going to be a big play to actually have those spawns near big doors. That player doesn't even, I don't even know what happened to Legal there. He doesn't even actually have a response with any bullets in the end, but it is Fizzerp currently holding down the hard point as he's looking to try to bring this one back. A little bit of a deficit currently for H2k. The HDXD car stuns him, but he's obviously able to stay alive thanks to that flak jacket perk. As it will be H2k trying to respond a little bit. The top Greenhouse control going to be big as Fizzerp kind of just getting in every engagement possible, not finding any kills. The Purifier coming in from Legal as this Greenhouse has now turned into a little bit of an oven. As this one's going to come into use, but no, he's going to find the kill, but ends up dropping. Fizzerp firing some shots with the MR6, and Octane going to win that battle. So back and forth play in this hard point. H2k, though, with a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, H2k is playing better collectively as a team, and Octane really is doing everything he can. And Slack not having too shabby a performance either, but it seems like every single time Rise sets up for the spawns, H2k, as soon as they break the spawns as well. They're doing a phenomenal job on these rotations in a very close game so far that we see the first set of rotations have come in. Rise, they have a lead by all of 2 points, and it looks like H2k going to take it back.
Yeah, H2k constantly always on that rotation. It actually works out for them, as it will be Looney and some of the Rise Nation players trying to pinch this one through, as they're going to have pretty easy control. Only 1 kill. Kind of decided that entire hard point off the break. But that heat wave and use a fantastic play there from Looney as 3 fall for H2k. H2k still have a couple of those spawns, but it's not going to last for too much longer. Rise Nation forcing their way out. Looney doing a fantastic job, has the HDXD car when he does get back and respawn, excuse me. The players dropping H2k now with a little bit of control back and forth, really just pinches throughout this hill so far, Chance. What it is, obviously Rise Nation with a little bit of a lead and that's man Laceville is trying to prevent that one from happening.
Yeah, and that is a bit of a waste of a heat wave right there. However, Looney is going to be in the hill once again. Players going to be shooting in the back, though. Classic and Slack are there to pick up the slack of all things, though. I got it incorrect on the last hill because I can't count, but now it's coming down to after the first set of rotation. Instead of the 3-point game that it once was, Rise on control did a much better job, and they take the 27-point lead. But, of course, the first time around, it was H2k. They got off to the very nice start inside of this hill. Last time we saw Fizzerp with the Vesper. Now he's picking up kills outside of the hill with the Barrow, and Legal's going to be the guy sitting inside, and Octane lightning strikes his teammate. We see so many team kills with those lightning strikes.
We do indeed, and that's obviously going to give H2k a little bit of an advantage when it comes to this middle box hard point. As you're going to see a couple of the Rise Nation players trying to force their way through. Slack able to drop 2, and it's going to be Legal finding some kills. That's a fantastic job there out of Legals. He's going to remain in control, but Slack forces his way through, and that's going to be an equal out trade in favor of Rise Nation, and Classic doing some work outside of the hard point, as this one has gone back and forth, as it looks like Looney is going to do some work there. Currently on a 2 spree, but doing a fantastic job. It's kind of interesting as well, as we do kind of take a look at that scorecard off to the right. Octane has the most hill. That's most hill time for his roster. That's kind of an interesting play, but it obviously, in some cases, has kind of worked, as they do have that lead in Classic, trying to fight for that possible backlap spawn.
Well, in fairness to Octane, he got all of that hill time pretty much on the first 2 hills. So since then, he's been sticking back to the role you'd expect him in as that Slayer. Now, of course, though, it is going to be H2k in control of this hut hill, but you see Rise, once again, very similar situation than we saw last time around. Rise has the good spawns, but can they break through? You see Fears actually has that scythe out, and he's going to be doing some damage. No one going to be pushing in the front, actually. Everyone's going to be in the back. Legal, though, with the Purifier, once again, going to get dropped immediately by the HC car.
And that Purifier doesn't even come into play, and that's just a fantastic job out of Rise Nation, and Fears is trying to aim in at every cost. I don't really know about this decision to really use his scythe when it comes to entering in this hill, but he's going to do it regardless, and he gets shut down. So a great job there out of Rise Nation as they get 3 down for H2k, and H2k really going to have to force their minds on that next hard point. They've got to get in control, because Rise Nation are going to have a massive lead after they grab these last couple seconds of scrap points.
Yeah, and speaking of massive, Looney is going to be going on a massive flank all the way around the map. They are already setting up Rise, that is, to break the hill. You see 2 players kind of hanging out over by AC. They're going to pinch it all together. Fears and Legal, though, are going to be able to win the gunfights, and of course, Slack is just going to go over there to get that scrap time. So H2k down by 33 points, but at the moment, they have complete control, and it looks like everyone right now is going to be pushing in right at Fizzerp.
Oh, no.
Fizzerp's able to get 1, doesn't connect with the second, gets some hit markers at least, and is going to be able to call that out to his team. Oh my god.
He is indeed. We can see some interesting stuff coming down. Classic with the Annihilator in his hands. Drops 1, drops the second. Fantastic job as these players are going to be spawning through back big doors. And now Octane and the guys from Rise Nation using all of those streaks now. This is just going to be kind of a difficult opportunity if you want to enter in from that front of the hill. But Classic doing some work. Looney as well, as these shots are coming in. Rise Nation seem to be winning all of the gunfights at this point, as they're going to reach 200 points. Well, actually, nearly 200 points. So there's Looney to kind of grab that one. But some contested time. Looney trying to win these gunfights. It's not going to happen, though, and H2k are going to win a little bit of those scrap points. So it's going to come down to Greenhouse. Who can have the advantage? Because H2k are going to bring this one back thanks to those points. And it's going to see who's going to be setting up. It looks like H2k are trying to find some kills. Fizzerp doing a great job with that Kuda as he just ends up dropping.
Yep, gun number 3 for Fizzerp, of course, always trying to make adjustments during the game. Looney, though, going to be inside of this greenhouse hill early on. It's going to get contested right away. There's even a player above. I'm not sure if Looney was able to see him. That is not the case. Lacefield jumps inside, but you see 2 players right now. Classic, Octane, and Slack all going to be inside the hill, and it looks like Classic is going to be able to come out on top with that kill on Fizzerp. Now a 30-point lead. Rise looking to shut this one down early. They could potentially do it on this hill.
They absolutely could, and this is a fantastic job right now for Rise Nation. The heat wave being used up top greenhouse, and Classic needs to win this gunfight. Is he able to do so? He is, and his teammate, other teammate, excuse me, Octane is able to drop that one as well. And the HDXD card to find out a little bit of information, as that's that flak jacket going to come into use. But Classic either way is able to tag up the flare. 20 seconds left before Rise Nation could possibly make this game in their favor. H2k possibly a last-second opportunity to force their way forward. Fear's doing a great job. Pulls up the MR6. It's not going to happen. And Legal is also dropping. Rise Nation look to be on top. The rotations are coming in. And it's not going to win the game actually up to this point, but they're going to be so close. H2k are going to have to pull off a miracle.
Well, you see they're going to have 3 seconds left that they need to win. Octane's already inside the hill. H2k has to contest right away again. This is it for H2k. This is going to be their tournament. They are able to break through, but again, Rise needs to break just one time, and they're going to be in fantastic shape. Looney able to get the first 2 kills, and again, this is H2k's tournament on the line.
It is indeed. Looney able to win a big gunfight toward the left, and this is going to be big. H2k trying to force their way forward. The Purifier up for Legals. He's able to drop 1. And that's a fantastic job there from him as they finally reach 200 points. It's a 47-point deficit right now as Rise Nation just need to pull their way through just for 3 seconds. as H2k are doing a fantastic job of holding this one down. They really need Legal to go big. Side door, that one shut down. And now this is H2k possibly bringing this one back, and I can't imagine they would do so. Rise Nation pushes their way forward. Slack goes big. He drops one, drops the second. Can he find the third? No. 1 point left, and Rise Nation on the cusp. And now H2k have taken over this hill. The next rotation have got to be big. Only 1 more point for Rise Nation. You got to think they're going to close this one out, right?
Gunfight inside the hill. Looks like Fears and Fizz are both going to be in there flooding, but you see the rotation already come in. Classic, Looney, and
there
Slack were all sitting inside the hut. They needed 1 more point. It is too difficult for H2k. They had to flood the hill, and they had to force it over for the next. So in the end, Rise's respawn game was just too strong. You know, H2k did look fantastic in the S&D, but they weren't able to sneak out an uplink. They didn't win the CTF either. They just did not have enough in Rise with all the firepower in the end, but a pretty fantastic ending, if I do say so myself.
Without a doubt. You obviously got to give a lot of credit to the side of H2k. Had a fantastic run, you know, taking out Opposite Gaming and coming in against Rise Nation, taking those search and destroys. But when it comes to respawn, it really just seemed to be Rise Nation who are, you know, the more talented squad. They end up taking this game 4-2, and they will advance to the grand finals versus Luminosity Gaming.
Well, that is going to do it all for us here. We are going to throw it over to the analyst desk before we have the grand finals. So, guys, go ahead and break down that match for us, especially you, Revan.
Thank you very much.